going through secondary. So hanging IV piggyback, and we are hanging the antibiotic. Alright, so just for class demo, we have a blue antibiotic. You probably don't ever see this. Really, you might see yellow antibiotic. That's kind of rare, but this one's blue just so you can see. Alright, when I prime. Alright, so page 99. Let's go ahead and check our order. And my order says I'm working with John Jones here, and his primary bag is 0.9 sodium chloride. Alright, and that's going at 125. And now I have to give him ampicillin, and it's 215 milligrams, and it's in 100 mils, and I have to run it over 20 minutes. Alright, so that's ampicillin, 250, and I can see that is in 100 mils, and it's to run over 20 minutes. So I need to figure out, that I'm doing this per gravity, how many drops a minute to get this in 20 minutes. So we're going to use the formula we gave you last week, which is volume to be infused times drip factor over minutes and time. So our volume to be infused, I have ampicillin, 250 milligrams in 100 mils to run in over 20 minutes. My volume to be infused is 100. 100. What is my volume? Not what's my dose, what is my volume to be infused? My volume to be infused is 100. How much is in my bag? That's my volume. Alright, so to figure this out, you need to know how big of a bag are you using. How big of a bag is your antibiotic coming in? Some come in 50 mils, some come in 250 mils. So you have to know how many mils to figure this out. So your volume to be infused is 100 times your drip factor. How do I know my drip factor? Look at my secondary tubing. Alright, it says it right there in the corner. So everyone has a secondary. You know it because it's got the blue plastic. So you can drop your primary. And so this says 10 drops per mil. So I now know I have 100 mils, my volume to be infused, times my drip factor, which is 10, over the time in minutes. The order says to run over 20 minutes. So you multiply 100 times 10, and it gives you what? 1,000. And you divide it by minutes, and it's 20 minutes. So how many drops per minute? 50. Right. So now I've done my calculation. I have 50 drops per minute. Now what we tell you to do is divide this number by 4. Because we want to know how many drops in 15 seconds. Because when you're sitting here trying to regulate to get 50 drops in a minute, you don't want to be counting for a full minute all the time to see if you're too fast or too slow or just right. Count for 15 seconds. So we're going to take that 50, or whatever you come up with as your drops per minute, and just drop it, divide it by 4. And so if we divide 50 by 4, we're going to get 12 to 13 drops in 15 seconds. So we know that. Okay, so now we've done our calculation. So let's go ahead and check our 5 rates. Alright, so the right drug is ampicillin. What's the right dose? 250 milligrams. Alright, it's on my MAR. It's on your bag. Okay, because remember, you guys will be pulling your bags, your supplies, if you are testing out on this one. So I'm going to go and pull my ampicillin, 250 milligrams. My right patient is John Jones. My route is IV piggyback, and my time is 12:30. Oh gosh, I'm ahead. Okay, I'm running ahead. Alright, I'm going to do that 3 times. John Jones and ampicillin, 250 milligrams, IV piggyback at 12:30. John Jones, ampicillin, 250 milligrams, and it's to go IV piggyback at 12:30. Okay, awesome. What I want to do now is I check he's not allergic to it, and he's not. He's just allergic to codeine. And I see that the main bag, like I said, is 0.9 normal saline. I am going to be running this into this primary tubing, so I have to check that the two are what? Compatible. Okay? And so to do that, I'm going to pull out the VID book, which my assistant will hand me. Oops, okay. This is a drug reference, but it doesn't always tell you IV compatibility. And so usually the one that will tell you IV compatibility, we call it the VID book, because VID is one of the authors of it. Okay, and it's just intravenous medication. So you can find one of two ways. Go to the back. This is the fastest. See if your medication is listed there. Ampicillin. It's not. Alright? But they do list medications, and then across the top would be the different kind of fluids that you'd be running it in. Alright, so instead I'm just going to go alphabetical, and I'm going to find ampicillin. And so I go to ampicillin, and it's right here, and I can look for compatible with. And so it lists what it is compatible with. A faster way to do it is to look what it's incompatible with. Alright? So if I look at incompatibilities, it's only incompatible with two things. Gentamicin and aminoglycosides. Alright? I'm not giving those, I'm just giving 0.9 normal saline. So I know the two are compatible. Alright? So what I want to do is, I checked my meds, I checked compatibility, I figured out my drip factor. The only other thing I didn't do was step 6, and you want to do this, and I'm sure you did it with your primary, is just CEL. So I make sure it's clear, and I check expiration date, and I make sure there's no leaks. So just remember CEL anytime you're hanging a new antibiotic, and so that looks great. I have washed my hands. Mr. Jones, I'm going to be giving you your IV antibiotic, and I'm going to come and make sure his site looks okay, because I'm going to be giving him a new medicine. So I'm going to go in and check that IV site, make sure it's patent, no signs of infiltration, no signs of phlebitis, and that looks great. So I'm ready to go ahead and get my medicine hung. So my primary is running right now, so I'm just going to start running here. And if it doesn't run, go back and check all your clamps. Okay, one's probably closed, and this one closed up when I pulled it out of the IV pump. It closes it up on you. Okay, so I have this running, and it looks good. So what I want to do is just take my bag, go ahead and open up my secondary tubing. And you guys have all done primaries, right? What are the 3 P's Kathy told you? Poke, pinch, and prime. You just say pork? I don't think pork's in there. I'm going to hang that up so I don't forget it. Alright. Anytime you pull out new tubing, what do you want to do? Close that roller clamp. That's right. Especially, we've got our antibiotic. We don't want to lose that. Alright, so with sterile technique, I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. And I'm going to hook these together. So I poked it. I'm going to pinch it. And now I want to go ahead and prime it. Alright. If you're afraid you might forget to lower your primary, because here your gravity is going to take over, the highest bag always runs. If you want to, go ahead and lower this primary right now. Okay, and a lot of students like to do this so they don't forget it. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this lower, because I want my higher bag to infuse. Alright, so I am going to very slowly go ahead and just, there was a basin here. Is there a basin over there? No. Just a little round basin. You want this? That's great, thank you. Alright, so you really don't want to waste any of the medicine. And so this is vented. You don't have to take that off. It'll say sterile. And so let's go ahead and just, there's not any Y ports on this. So it's pretty easy to go ahead and just prime it and not get any air in the tubing. So I'm just going to take my time and get it down to the bottom. Close that off. And let's go back and make sure we don't have any bubbles. Looks good. Alright. So can I drop this right now?
Yeah.
Sure.
You can, there's a cap on it.
There's a cap on it. You bet. So I'm okay to just go ahead and drop that. And then I'm going to put some gloves on. And so I will go ahead and put my gloves on. Mr. Jones, I'm ready to hang this antibiotic, but I want to make sure you don't have any tenderness at that IV site. It looks fine, but just let me know if there's any tenderness here, okay? So I'm going to go in and just palpate around that IV site. And does that hurt you? He says no. Alright, that's great. So look at his ID band. It's John Jones. Tell me your date of birth. 10/13/51. That is accurate. Okay. So at this point, you need an alcohol wipe, and you're going to go ahead and go to your upper Y port. Alright, so find the one near the top, alcohol that off. So you just wipe that off. You're going to go ahead and take this off. You'll find that kind of hard to come off sometimes. Alright, and you'll want to save your caps so you can do this again at home. Put it together. Oh man, shouldn't be that hard, okay? So I put it in and then I tightened it. Alright, it does have a lure lock clamp. So now I'm ready to start my infusion. You totally open this clamp and you use the clamp on the primary to regulate your rate. Alright, so let's make sure it's running. Okay, and everything's open good. And it's just not running very fast. And I'm not sure, it could be because our IV bag isn't up high enough. So let's go ahead and just flip that up a little bit. Alright, because it's not a pump, it's not going to pump it in. We need enough gravity to get it in. And so we said it's 50 drops a minute, and so we actually want, alright, to use the roller on our primary. And let's go ahead and set, how many for 15 seconds? 12 to 13, so you can use either the clock on the wall, or if I had a watch, I would do that, and I would try and get it around 12 for 15 seconds. At that point, if I was testing, I probably would count for a full minute, because when the person, whoever is testing you, counts, they will count for a full minute. Alright, and according to the checklist on 19, it says we can be within 5. Alright, so let's say I count it and you've got it at 46. You're okay, because you can go 5 above or below. So if the rate is 50 drops per minute, if you've got anywhere between 45 and 55, we accept that. Okay, we're running, it looks good. This looks good. Alright, Mr. Jones, how's that feeling for you? Okay, it doesn't burn, it feels okay for him. I'm going to gather my supplies, I'm going to put his bed down, give him the call light. Alright, make sure the side rails on the top are up, and I will wash my hands, go out and document that I give him medication.